that I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with Douglas that this kind of constant hygiene is necessary, that journalists need to, I don't even know if objectivity is the right frame, but there does need to be a sort of a constant conversation, institutional constraints, as well as, kind of a certain professional pride in being able to distinguish between what you hope is true and what you actually find. The argument that I want to make is that it is only the mainstream media that sort of has that ethos. If you read conservative media, you will not often find, occasionally you will, but I think in general, you will not often find a lot of stuff that conservatives don't want to hear. I mean, likewise, if you read a blog devoted to the various, kind of failings of the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, or whatever, they're not going to suddenly say, oh, I thought they got that story wrong, but when I looked at it again, they really got it right. I know from being in newsrooms, from being around journalists, that there is a hunger out there to find the counterintuitive story, to find the unusual story. Very recently, the New York Times did a big piece on puberty blockers that made a lot of our readers extremely angry. The piece was about, that these are kind of given to kids who either, kind of are transgender or believe that they're transgender to pause puberty, and then later on, if they decide to kind of continue with their transition, they can start on cross-sex hormones. And the piece featured 3 children. One of them was a trans girl who from a very early age had identified as female, who went on puberty blockers, later started estrogen, was very glad, she and her family were very glad not to have to go, that she hadn't had to go through a male puberty, and this was clearly the right thing for her. There was another young woman who had kind of her doubts about her gender coincided with other psychological troubles, and she had started puberty blockers and then started testosterone, but later decided that she wasn't actually male and that this had been kind of a grievous mistake and that she feels like the process had been too rushed. There was a 3rd child who developed significant bone density issues and ended up going off puberty blockers for those reasons. And now,
let's give Michelle one moment to finish.
Oh, sorry, I don't understand what you're. I just want to say very quickly, this is who else has an incentive to do a story about all the complications and the things that we don't know.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate it.